Working on this 740 Volvo in here again today. Now this is a rear-wheel drive Volvo, and like any rear-wheel drive car, if you want traction in the demolition derby ring, or say if you have a four-wheel drive mud truck, you're going to want to have these rear gears welded together so they don't come apart. So what we've already done is we've taken out all the bolts except for the very top one. We've left that one in there finger tight. We've got our oil drip can underneath, so because there should be oil in here. Now what we're going to do is just break these two apart. Might just need to use the hammer here for a second. Well, that's a good sign. There's oil in it. Woo! So all we did there was just smack the cover off, and now that most of the oil's been leaked out of it, without making a gigantic mess, which is always a nice part, we can pull the top bolt out, hold onto the diff cover here. Sorry about the crappy camera work. So now all the bolts are out. We're just going to pull the whole diff cover off there. Set it down over here so we don't lose it with all the bolts. So now, a lot of these cars here are the same. This is called your pinion. No, your ring gear. And your pinion is right inside there, as you can see it. Now, there's quite a bit of actual sludge inside here, so that means these gears are just about to die anyway. These gears right here are called your spiders. What happens is one tire spins and the other doesn't. So how to fix that is you weld all these spiders together inside there. Ignore this. This is just a Volvo speed sensor. Nothing to do with anything else. So we're going to get in there with our welder and we're going to weld all these gears together with trying really hard not to touch these gears here with the welder or touch these ends of these splines. Now we're going to let this oil get out of there a little bit better and clean it out, and we're going to get in there and weld that. And then after, as soon as we do that, this thing will now be a posi Volvo. Alright, let's get started. So there you go, still smoking hot. All your gears are now welded to the outside of the carrier on both sides through both openings. Now some vehicles, the openings are actually smaller than that, so it'll be harder to get in there. Like Suzuki Samurais are really hard to weld the rear gears. I do not want to put any oil into this until it cools down. And if you notice, I left the open part here because if you see the axle going in there, sometimes the axle will break and you need to get a little coat hanger in there and push the axle out and then stick a magnet in and pull it out. But sometimes I throw plates over top of these right here, and sometimes I don't, but today I'm not going to. Now the next thing we got to do is clean out all the slag out here at the bottom, and then put some new motor oil in there, and this thing will be good to go. One last thing. For me to put oil into this, all I got to do is pull this plug and fill the oil through that plug. Now, a lot of the Fords and Chevys do not have fill plugs. Now, what I do with that is I go up here and I drill a hole right there, and I put my oil through that hole and then just put a liter into it, just something. If I'm in a huge rush, I throw the cover back on and I put no fluids in there. Now, if it was a good rear end with like a spool and maybe 4, 5, 6 gears, and this was a Ford 9-inch, I'd put fluid in it for sure, but if it's a shitty 10 bolt or a shitty Volvo axle or I don't know, an 8.8 out of the back of a shit Mustang, then who gives a shit? If it blows up, it blows up. All it's got to last is 8 to 12, 15, 20 minutes. Well, something can go without oil for 20 minutes. Trust me on that. But oil's not necessary, but I have it right there. It takes me 30 seconds to throw it in that hole.